Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our culture unit as we begin the month of December. And because it is the month of December, we know it's the last month of 2020. And that means Christmas is coming, and so is the new year. And of course, lots of people here in Taiwan are planning to go somewhere to watch fireworks on New Year's Eve. But a really popular place to go experience New Year's Eve in New York, in the USA, is in Times Square. And yes, indeed, they have that big ball there. That's tradition there. And yeah, we're going to talk about how that ball came to be and why it's such a big deal.
You know, I hadn't realized that the ball had been around that long. I thought it was more of a modern invention. It's sure popular for people to watch on TV. Even though I lived in New York City for a long time, I never once went down there for New Year's Eve party. It's just too cold. After we had the terrorist attacks in 2001, you couldn't even bring a purse down. So once you got down there, you couldn't leave to go to the bathroom or do anything. And I thought, it's freezing. Why would you do this? So yeah, I never wanted to go experience it. I don't like crowds. I'm like you, Tom.
Yeah, and of course, I have never really liked going down to Taipei 101 to see the fireworks there. But I have in the last couple of years, and it's been all right. I'm not much of a night owl. I like to go to bed early, so staying up until 1 or 2 a.m. To watch the fireworks for me is kind of difficult, but usually the next day is off. It's a vacation day, so
can sleep in.
I've been a little bit more flexible in that regard because my wife and daughter like to do those sorts
love
of things.
It, yeah.
But yeah, if you're not in Taipei and if you happen to be in New York, hey, you might head down to Times Square and check out the ball there, and you might have a ball to welcome the new year. Happy 2021. So let's get to it, everybody. Let's read the entire contents of our lesson right now.
On the night of December 31st, New York City's Times Square is transformed into a magical place. In spite of the cold weather, thousands of people assemble to participate in a special event. As midnight draws near, the crowd's eyes become glued to a giant silver ball on a pole atop the One Times Square building. At 11:59 p.m., the ball begins to slowly descend the 141-foot flagpole. When it is about to reach the bottom, everyone counts down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to welcome the start of another year. The tradition of the Times Square Ball dates back to 1907. It began when Adolph Oakes, who owned the New York Times, had an idea. He wanted to add a special attraction to the Times Square New Year's celebration that would draw attention to his newspaper. So, Oakes hired Jacob Starr, an immigrant metal worker, to help him complete the task. Starr constructed a 700-pound ball from iron and wood and attached 100 light bulbs to it so it would light up the night sky. People loved his remarkable creation, and the dropping of the ball became an annual tradition. Today, millions of people from around the world tune in to watch the ball drop on TV. It offers hope that they can accomplish new goals and achieve their dreams in the upcoming year.
Okay, everybody, it's time for us to discuss the contents of today's lesson. And the title of our article today is Having a Ball to Welcome the New Year. Now, we should mention that this is a phrase here, to have a ball, which means to have a good time. Hey, how was the party? Oh, we had a ball. It was a lot of fun. So yes, indeed, if you go to New York and hang out in Times Square there, you're going to have a ball. You're going to have the time of your life.
It reminds me of a similar phrase. We'll often say, oh, I hope you have a blast. B-L-A-S-T, which is an explosion. But you could go to a fun party and come home and tell your mom, oh, we had a blast at that party. So we had a ball, we had a blast. You'll hear those phrases when people talk about having a good time. So they have a ball as they welcome in the new year. You see cities all over the world on TV having their own particular celebration. But this is a famous one from the U.S. New York City's Times Square, where they also have a lot of the Broadway theaters located in that neighborhood. You could go see a play and then stick around and see the ball drop. If you watch it on TV, you'll be a lot warmer, though. So we've got the night of December 31st. That, of course, is New Year's Eve. And New York City's Times Square is transformed into a magical place. If you use that verb transform, it just means something has changed completely. You probably have seen the cartoon or even the movie of Cinderella. And she starts out the movie looking really poor and ragged, and her dress is ugly, as you know. But she's transformed into a girl that looks like a princess, and she gets the prince at the end of the movie. Well, transform just means to change something completely. Of course, in chemistry, you'll often do experiments where liquids will transform into something else. And maybe you're doing some remodeling in your apartment because you really want to transform the look of it. You want it to be really cool, whereas when you started, it wasn't very attractive.
Indeed. So Times Square is kind of like the center of New York City, I guess. A lot of tourists go there. There's a lot of neon lights there and a lot of theaters, and the place is really buzzing. It's really active normally, but on New Year's Eve, of course, it's a special place, a magical place, and in spite of the cold weather, thousands of people assemble to participate in a special event. So, yeah, in spite of. That means even though it's cold or even though there is cold weather, or you could say regardless of the cold weather, it doesn't really matter because the cold weather is not going to stop these people. Thousands of people assemble, they get together, they gather to participate in a special event. They're going to take part in this special event, and it only happens once a year.
People get excited, though. They think they'll be on TV and that there will be that special air of excitement around. The atmosphere will be exciting. So they go and they're willing to go through all of that just to see the ball drop. So as midnight draws near, we'll often use that phrase to draw near, just meaning something is coming closer. It could be physically coming closer or just, coming closer in your mind. Here we're talking about time. So as midnight draws near, the crowd's eyes become glued to a giant silver ball. Now, here, the subject of the sentence is actually the eyes of the crowd. So the crowd is all looking toward the same thing. And if you say your eyes become glued to something, my mom would say, oh, kids, your eyes are glued to that TV. Stop it. Go get something done. She hated for us to just sit and watch TV. So it just means they don't move from that point. And they're looking at a giant silver ball on a really tall pole, a skinny vertical stick kind of thing that goes way up. And it's sitting atop the One Times Square building. There's actually a building with that address, One Times Square.
Yeah, I guess that's 42nd Street, I guess. I've only been to New York as a tourist, but I know Times Square and 42nd Street is a popular tourist area. And at 11:59 p.m., the ball begins to slowly descend the 141-foot flagpole. So yeah, to descend means to go down. And again, I've never seen this in person. I've only seen it on TV.
Right.
And I usually watch it here in Taiwan. It happens at 1 in the afternoon on January 1st because of the 13-hour time difference between...
14?
Is it 14 or 13?
14.
Okay, because of the time
so.
difference there, you have to watch it in the afternoon here in lovely Taiwan to see that happening because it's night there. It goes down the pole, and when it is about to reach the bottom, everyone counts down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to welcome the start of another year. We all know that tradition of counting down from 10. People do that when they watch the fireworks at Taipei 101, and they usually flash the numbers on the side of the building, and everybody yells them out and gets really excited.
It is kind of fun to be with a big group like that. And there is a lot of excitement in the air. So, if you're young and you can stand there for 8 hours, go ahead and do it. Just don't drink too much or you're going to be miserable. Right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher and then we'll be back.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。现在来到12月啊，好像就开始要迎接新年的感觉了。我们今天这个单元是克漏字，可是我们的文章是有关于欢迎新年的一个仪式哦。不晓得大家知不知道，在美国的纽约时代广场有一个时代广场球，其实在每年的跨年夜都会在最后1分钟降球60秒，这样子的一个 tradition， 一个传统。那我们今天的文章的主题就是环绕着这个 Times Square Ball。我们来看一下第一题。第一题呢，因为这句话前面已经指出，尽管天气寒冷，但是仍然有观众聚集在这个地方参加这个特别的活动，所以其实从文意我们可以得知，观众是很期待活动的到来，而且紧盯着大厦顶端这个巨大的银球，所以答案当然应该要选 B。 不过 B 这个 glue，G-L-U-E， 其实它本来就有胶水的意思，那么它当动词就是粘牢啊，或者是紧缚，那么片语通常都会用 be glued to something，所以这一格选 B 是比较适当的。那么接下来我们看一下第二格，这个第二格空格啊，其实后面半段呢有提到巨大的银球本来是位在141英尺的旗杆上，那么空格下一句话有提到 reach the bottom， 到达底端，所以推知这颗球是由上往下降下来，答案当然应该要选 descend。 不过这个 descend D-E-S-C-E-N-D 它有一个反义词哦，如果是由下往上升 ascend A-S-C-E-N-D A-S-C-E-N-D。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue with our lesson. Again, we're talking about having a ball to welcome the new year. Having a ball, again, means to have a good time, but also we're talking about that ball that is famous in Times Square there, the giant silver ball that's atop one Times Square, and it begins to slowly descend the flagpole when it's about to become midnight and January 1st of 2021. Now, where did this tradition begin? Well, the tradition of the Times Square Ball dates back to the year 1907, so that's over 100 years ago, and it began when Adolph Oakes, the owner of the New York Times, had an idea. Okay, this person owned this famous newspaper, which is still printed, and you can read it online, the New York Times. And he owned it at the time. He's probably dead now, but at the time, he had an idea about this silver ball.
He sure did. So he wanted to add what we're calling a special attraction to the Times Square New Year's celebration that would draw attention to his newspaper. So it was kind of a way to market his newspaper or advertise the New York Times. At the same time, doing something that would make it more fun for those who were celebrating New Year's Eve there. An attraction is something that you can go to, usually to have fun. For example, we'll often use tourist attraction. Oh, Disneyland is a big tourist attraction for people who, are sightseeing or visiting a particular area with a Disneyland. So there are amusement parks, there are museums, there are special historic buildings. All of those things would be a special attraction to that particular city. And here, he just wanted to do something special during the upcoming celebration. They were already having a celebration there. They just didn't have that big ball that drops down.
Yeah, you need to have some kind of gimmick or something special. It's a special attraction to Times Square. It's one thing being there, but yeah, you need to have something to focus your attention on. Just like here in Taipei, the special attraction is Taipei 101 for those fireworks. And yes, you want to draw attention to the newspaper, if you're the owner of the newspaper, to sell more copies of that newspaper. So Oaks hired Jacob Starr, an immigrant metal worker, to help him complete the task. So yes, this guy Jacob Starr helped him build that ball. Jacob Starr was an immigrant, which means he came from another country. He was born in another country and immigrated to the United States, okay? And he's a metal worker, so he knows how to solder metal together and stuff like that. And he is the person who made this ball.
Yeah, solder is kind of an interesting word, S-O-L-D-E-R. It looks like you would say solder, but it's solder with no L sound. It just means they melt those two pieces of metal together. They wear those big goggles. It's kind of cool. So he was an immigrant. He was coming from another country to live in America. We had a lot of immigration in the early turn of the century, the 1900s. It's a cool time. There are videos on YouTube from back, like in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Go look. It's so cool. Somebody has added some color to them as well. They're fascinating. I love this time period in history. So he was a metal worker, and he's the one who actually had the idea to construct or build a 700-pound ball. It was made from iron and wood. And then he attached 100 light bulbs, which were kind of a new invention for back in 1907. And those light bulbs would then light up the night sky. I bet it was amazing, especially back then when life was much more simple.
Yeah, back then, of course, not everybody had electricity.
I know.
I think they had it in the cities, but, in the countryside and places like that, they
more wealthy homes, probably
exactly.
in the city.
So it was probably a very special thing to see all those light bulbs in one place. And, of course, that ball would light up the night sky.
Wow.
And people loved his remarkable creation, and the dropping of the ball became an annual tradition, which continues to this day. So here we've got the word remarkable, which means it's worthy of remarks. A remark, of course, is when somebody says something about something because it's so cool. Wow, check that out. It's so cool. You gotta see it. So yes, remarkable just means really cool, really wonderful, worth talking about.
Yeah, pretty amazing. I would say remarkable is always positive. It's not negative. So they loved his amazing creation, his remarkable creation. I bet there were a lot of people talking about it for days after that New Year's Eve celebration. So even though it must have cost Oaks a lot of money, I think it was a pretty good way to spend his advertising dollars and publicize his New York Times newspaper. Wow. But what a cool tradition. And again, it started way back in 1907. And after that, the dropping of the ball became an annual tradition. Annual traditions are fun. It happens once a year because we use that word annual. And it's a tradition, so it happens year after year after year. Most families or countries, cities, governments, we all have different types of traditions. The one here, of course, is Taipei 101 and the fireworks. I hope that never ends.
Yeah, I kind of keep hoping that they'll have the fireworks someplace else just for a little variety or something.
Where would you like them?
I don't know, maybe over the Danshui River or something like that. Or maybe over the Presidential Palace or the Mitsukoshi Tower or Taipei train station or who knows, maybe down in Jiayi. That would be great to have some fireworks down there. It would make the city kind of interesting. But indeed, lots of people check out the dropping of the ball, which I think in and of itself is interesting but not terribly exciting, just to see a ball go down and then stop. So usually what they do is when it gets to the bottom, a bunch of numbers light up for 2021. And then I think they also have fireworks going off at the same time. And lots of people are cheering and they probably have live music and whatever. Now here in the next paragraph it says, today, millions of people from around the world tune in to watch the ball drop on TV. So yeah, you don't need to just be there in person. You can also watch it on TV, just like you can do here in Taiwan in the afternoon of January 1st.
One of the things they do to make the time you spend in the New York Times Square is just invite a lot of popular performers to come and perform. They build a small stage in that area where the TV hosts will also stand. But, you know, we get tired of hearing the TV hosts as well. You know, they try to tell jokes, whatever. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not very good. But they also will invite performers, usually pop stars, come in and sing and dance. They've had some boo-boos or mistakes take place, which are also kind of fun. But, you know, you want to be kept entertained while you're waiting for the ball to drop. And you're right. The ball dropping isn't such a big deal. It's just being there and then singing with the crowd. As soon as the new year comes in, which is 12:01 or 12 midnight plus 1 second, they sing Aldig Sein, which is a very famous song everybody sings. No one knows all the lyrics. So if you don't know them and you end up going 1 year, don't feel bad. Nobody knows them.
Yeah, I just know if should all acquaintance be forgotten, never brought to mind.
Yeah.
And, of course, that is a song that people just know that
It's been
first
around
line to.
I know, that's all we know.
And then after that, they don't really remember it. I should say here personally that I fundamentally disagree with New Year's being at the end of December. I think it should be at the end of February because that's the end of winter when spring
comes
starts.
in, huh?
So, yeah, to me, going to these New Year's celebrations doesn't really mean much because I fundamentally object to the New Year starting on January 1st. It should be March 1st, closer to where the Chinese calendar begins New Year's, but that's another subject for another day. But yeah, today millions of people from around the world tune in and they want to accomplish new goals in the new year.
Sure.
If you accomplish something, you have a goal and then you fulfill that goal.
You work hard.
Yeah, you meet that
hard,
goal. Yeah, you want to make a certain amount of money or you want to learn a new skill or something or finish a class and get a new degree or whatever. And also, of course, you want to achieve your dreams, which are more fun stuff, you know, like traveling abroad or building your own house or getting a new puppy or whatever.
I wanted to mention accomplish and achieve are very similar. Both of them mean that you're working hard to, you know, reach some sort of goal. So achieve, accomplish, those are great verbs. Upcoming is a word we use to talk about something that's about to happen. Maybe you're engaged and you invite friends to your wedding. And if you're talking about your wedding, you could refer to it as your upcoming wedding. Yeah, so upcoming new year, the upcoming year. Most people set a couple of goals. Don't set too many because you don't want to feel like a loser when you can't accomplish them or achieve them. Set one or two, maybe tell a friend, maybe keep them secret. If you tell someone, you're more apt or more inclined to work hard towards them. If it's just something you think about, sometimes we don't do as much work on those goals as we might, especially things that are visible. If you're going on a diet, ladies, maybe do a diet with a friend. It's good to To do something hard with a friend, you have some support.
Yeah, that's probably the most common New Year's resolution.
Get in shape.
To lose weight or to get in shape or whatever. And I think the majority of people fail to accomplish that goal. But as Stephanie said, don't feel bad because everybody else is failing too. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
好，接着我们来看一下第3格。这一格啊，本身的 tradition 传统，还有1907，以及本身这个下一句话 it began 开始点点点，我们从文意上面得知，这个空格本句话就是要说明 Times Square Ball 它传统的由来是要追溯回1907年，所以答案选 D dates back to。 不过这个动词片语的 date back 它的用法比较特别哦，因为 date back 这个片语本身可以用主动，也可以用被动。你可以说某一件事情往回走，或者是某一件事情被追溯回，而且它的用法比较特别的是 TO2 后面会加上某一件事情的起点。如果没有 TO2 的话呢，则 date back 后面就直接加一段时间。比如说这个传统可以追溯几十年，你可以用主动的 The tradition dates back several decades， 或者你用被动的 The tradition can be dated back several decades。 那如果你要加起点的话呢，则在片语的 date back 后面加上 to， 加上 several decades ago， 也就是加上起点的时间。那么接下来我们来看一下第4题。第4题这一格啊，因为已经指出工匠 Star 他建造了一个重达700磅而且可以照亮夜空的球，而空格本句呢后面这一半段就提到降球仪式已经成为了1年1度的传统 annual tradition。 所以文意上面当然我们看到的很清楚的是大家都很喜欢它的 remarkable 非凡的作品，所以答案应该选 B creation比较适当。这个 creation 呢也有创作的意思。最后一题啊，其实第5题是有一点考文法了。那么在学测当中的课漏字题型，如果是5格或者是10格当中，大概也会有1-2题是考所谓文法的概念。不过这一题的文法呢，它考的是一个感官动词，看到某一件事情，或者是看某一个人做某事，所谓的 see 或者是 watch 加受词。那么受词后面会出现动词原形、动词 ing 或者是 pp。 以这一格来说，因为呢感官动词的 watch 后面加的受词是 the ball， 球本身往下降的动作只有动词原形 A 可以选。那么如果你想选 C 的话呢，前面 be 动词的 is 要删掉，因为感官动词后面只能加受词再加动词原形ing 或者是 pp。 不过有些读者会问，那感官动词后面到底是要用动词原形，还是要动词 ing 还是 pp 呢？原则上受词主动，例如球掉下来主动，我们就可以用动词原形或者是动词 ing。 那么如果是受词被动接受某一个动作，才会用 pp。那么接下来呢，我们就可以回过头来看文章当中啊，其实有一些很重要的单字可以稍微复习一下。例如在第2段的第4句话当中 immigrant 移民这个字，我们可能可以从动词 migrate migrate 这个动词先开始做复习。 migrate 是移民，可能对台湾人来说，我的亲戚移到美国叫做移出去，所以可以在 migrate 这个动词前面加上 emigrate emigrate， 所以移出的移民叫做 emigrant emigrant。那么对美国人来说，台湾我的亲戚移过去，对他们是移入的移民，就会变成杂志今天这个字叫做 immigrant。 好，不管如何呢，今年呢还是应该可以在电视上看到这个降球的 tradition， 降球的仪式。我是安娜，我们下次见咯。
That's it for today, everybody. Happy New Year, but of course we'll probably wish you that later in the month. It's still only December 1st here, but you have plenty of time to make preparations for your New Year's celebration and Christmas as well. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.